And thank you so much for joining me today for day 13 of 30 Days of Sketches round 10 from Christie's Beautiful Life. And today's sketch comes from Lara Moss, and you can see it at the top of the screen there. I'm going to document some photos from a trip to Lapland back in 2014 when the kids were much younger. And I'm using the new Serenity from 49 and Market, which I adore. As soon as I saw this range, I knew that I had to have it, and I thought that all the blues and greys would be absolutely perfect for Lapland photos where the lighting is all quite muted and obviously there's snow everywhere. So I'm really pleased with how this goes with these photos. So this was a day that we had going sledding with reindeers and also petting them and learning about them. It was a really interesting afternoon actually, and the kids just loved it. They loved being close to the reindeer like that. So just matting the photos on some of the 6x8 paper pad, just one of the pattern papers there, and then I'm going to mat that one. Now I've distressed the edges, that will be matted onto this navy blue cardstock again from the 6x8 paper pad. But first of all I will add some tissue paper in between the two layers just to soften that navy and make it a bit more muted. So here I am with the tissue paper, and I'm just going to stick that on with my Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive wet glue and trim very closely to the edges just so that it's peeping out, and like I say, it will just soften the colour of that navy blue so that it's not too stark against all the other pale colours in the background. And as you may have noticed, those of you who watch me regularly, you'll see that I am actually using a pattern paper for my base layout, which is very unusual because I tend to always go for white cardstock. But when I saw this one, I thought, well, really all the mixed media is done for me, so I can just go ahead and scrap. So that's what I'm doing. This is what I love about the 49 and Market papers. They are the perfect backgrounds for me to just add my own bits and pieces to. So just, as I say, trimming this off nice and close. You still want a little bit showing, but not too much because I don't want it to overlap. I still want the blue to peep through. So I'm going to offset these, just using my double-sided tape. I'll stick these down. And now that's done, I'm ready to start embellishing. So I shall start with the chipboard set, and straight away I see this leaf and know I want to use that. And then I'll try another couple of pieces out. Not all of them make it to the end, but it's fun having a play and working out what you want to use. I think I want to use that memory piece in the top right hand cluster that we've got on the sketch, but you'll see I do actually change that in the end. I love this circle saying True Beauty, and that's going to be the thing I use to anchor down the vines that I put down in this bottom left hand corner. So now I'm going through the laser cut pieces and again finding some more leaves or vines, whatever you want to call them. Just finding the slightly shorter pieces so that I can create this cluster in the bottom left hand corner. And also starting to think about what I want to use in that right hand side of the photos. So just trying a few pieces out there. And I like the beiges because we've got those beiges in the background piece and also the colour of the reindeer. So it's nice to bring those in too. But these colours in this range, I just absolutely adore them. I really do like the muted. I'll do some bright layouts, but I tend to go more towards the muted colours. So I want to create that line that Lara has in the sketch underneath the word title. So I'm just grabbing one of these pieces of laser cut lace from the laser cut sheets, and that works really nicely, running underneath those photos along the bottom there. Still not sure about those leaves on the right hand side. They feel a bit heavy. So now I'm going to look through the rub-ons and see what I can see in there. I know that there are some leaves in here. And this also catches my eye because there's one phrase that says grace and beauty, and that's certainly what reindeers have. So I wanted to add that as my title. Because this is going in with plenty of photos of our trip to Lapland, I don't need to put that it's Lapland every single time as the title. So I try and bear that in mind when I'm creating layouts. So I'm just attracted to this very long leafy vine, which I think might work nicely going up the right hand side of that right hand photo. So just cutting it out, but it bends slightly the wrong way for my liking, but I make it work. But can you see how if I put this, it would be better on the left hand side of the photo, but I definitely want to use it on the right, so I manipulate and make it work. And then I see this smaller one that we can layer up, and these rub-ons are a dream to use, and they're great for layering. They don't get stuck sometimes when you're trying to use rub-ons. When you try and layer them, they get stuck on top of one another and create a real mess. But these are very clean and clear. So just making sure that I can stick it down so it doesn't bow too far to the right, but you still have the stem at the bottom where you want it to be. So just taking my time, rubbing all this on, and then I'll start peeling off so that I can see where I haven't quite caught the pieces when I'm rubbing with my stick. Nearly there now, and then I can add that smaller piece on. So once again, checking the positioning, checking that I'm happy with the way the leaves lie, and then adding this smaller piece. And now those rub-ons are down, it's time to start sticking things down. So I start with this lace because that will determine exactly where the photos and things are going to go. So now that's glued into position, I can check where the photos are going and glue down that cluster on the left hand side. And once that's down, I can mount the photos on foam, which is what I usually do, and get those adhered down too. And once that's down, I decide that I really do want to add a little bit more. So I go in on the left hand side with that beige leaf and layer that on there too. And I really like the way it fills everything out. So just gluing it down, and the leaf at the top I will mount onto a little bit of foam just so that it doesn't droop too much. And again, it's adding dimension to the layout. So just popping that down there. And adding a bit of foam to that blue one there as well. So now I'm starting to think about that cluster at the top right, but I'm not quite sure what to do. So I reach for this rub-on that I'm going to use as my title, and get that stuck down. And I do position it where Lara has it in the sketch, so sticking quite closely to it. It just takes a little bit of work to make sure that you don't leave anything on the backing. But as long as you go gently and carefully, you can feel when it's tugging and you need to add a bit more rubbing. And there we have it. So again, looking at that top and just trying to work out what I'm going to do. And then I see this cut-off strip from the 12 by 12 paper, and it has One Fine Day printed on it, and I think that will just be a really nice addition to the layers under the photo. So I pop it down here on the left hand side. Just have to peel that leaf up gently so that I can get it underneath. I don't like seeing the edge of the paper, I like it all to be layered together. So I needed to just squeeze it underneath that left hand leaf. So now at the top I'm thinking of adding some more rub-ons again, so I pull off this silvery one. It's really beautiful and just very delicate, not too obvious. And I'm fussing, and I know I'm just not happy with that memory chipboard, but I just don't really know where else to go with it. So I do a lot of messing trying to work out exactly what to do. And then I consider one of the circular pieces in a minute to see if that works better, but everything's just a little bit too small. So just working my way through, seeing what else I could try. Those chipboard tags are too big and clunky for me. And then I start faffing at the bottom because I'm still trying to collect my thoughts, decide what to do. Back to the rub-ons again, see if there's anything else. Another small leaf vine to add. And it's nice because it's bringing in those more grey blue colours and the darker blue. So I do like that up there. And again, my eye's distracted by this Time Together chipboard. So I just pop that down there. I don't stick it down yet because I really do want to work on this top piece. And I think it's when I find this book plate here that I realise that I can probably work with something more blocky rather than trying to just use one piece. So I like that circle that says The Simple Life, but I look through the laser die cuts again and I find this ticket and also this frame, which is almost like a stamp frame. And so I start to create a little cluster here, and I'm really happy with the way it turns out. Sometimes you just need to give yourself a bit of time to step back and think of a different way of doing things, I suppose. And look, that's so much better. And that vine, the navy blue one, almost pointing down to the vines at the bottom left hand page, it really draws your eye right the way down the page. So just adding this silver grey leaf, and it's very subtle, doesn't add too much but just enough to bring your eye down from that cluster. And you can see there I just had to go back in because I pulled the backing off and it wasn't all rubbed down, but you can just easily go back in again. It doesn't you can't even see the join when you attach it back on if you're careful where you put it. So bringing that cluster back in, and then I'll glue it all down together. So while I'm doing that, I want to remind you to go and check the description box down below to see the playlist for this hop. There are some wonderful creatives joining in, and the playlist is great because you can just bob in and out as you want to and find new YouTubers maybe and be inspired by other people and their take on these sketches. It's great to see everybody's different interpretations. It's really interesting. We all have our own style, and it's also different, so it's really good. If you enjoy watching me, I'd love it if you would subscribe. It really does help me and my channel to get out there a bit more. Give this video a like and leave me a comment if you have anything to say or want to ask any questions. I'd love to hear from you. So now that that's all layered down, I'm just going to add the date in the bottom right hand corner, and I'm using the Iced Spruce Distress Oxide from Tim Holtz. It's a subtle green, quite a dark green, but it just blends into the background. It doesn't make it too obvious. It didn't need to be a big in your face. It was this date because, like I say, this is going to be one of many layouts from this holiday, so I just want to make sure that we have it in chronological order so that we remember in the future when we did what. So finally coming in with my Nuvo crystal drops in bottle green, and then I shall come in with the navy blue one. And I think that's it. So thank you so much for joining me for this day 13 of Christie's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, and I shall see you tomorrow for the next one. Thanks again. Bye.